One of the best things about Guadeloupe is its unspoilt nature, and it's therefore perhaps not such a well-known tourist destination outside of France. Many of our viewers, in fact, may not be sure exactly where it is. Could you perhaps enlighten them on this, the location of Guadeloupe and also the exact political relationship with France?
If I take the last part of your question first, I think the position of Guadeloupe is French Overseas Department, which means administratively it's like any other department in France, Paris, Brittany, Normandy, except it is obviously much further afield, but the same rules, and of course that has an importance in terms of revenue, people's salary scale is that of France. So it's overall, I think it does provide a fairly good means of living, basically. Now it's located in the Antilles arc, very close to St. Lucia. I mean, obviously there are probably 20 larger islands plus myriads of very, very small one. I would say it's probably halfway between Haiti and the coast of Venezuela.
Okay, so thank you very much. But in order to get there from the UK, you have to fly via France, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah, this is one of, probably we'll touch a subject later on, one of the difficulty there is that you do not have direct flights out of the UK. You have to go to Paris, and then you have from France, obviously Air France, also Corsair, who runs a lot of charter flights, and obviously there are some other charter flights from neighboring countries, Germany, Belgium and Italy, who are also quite keen on the destination.
Can I just ask you, on the topic of entry requirements into Guadeloupe, if our viewers would like to inquire about the visa requirements to visit Guadeloupe, how can they go about finding out what what
visa requirements, I would say, obviously, French consulates worldwide are the one body habilitated to give information and to issue visas. Obviously, for people holding British passports or a British nationality, British citizenship, there is no problem at all because it's within the European Union, so therefore no specific requirements. If there are people from other countries, then they have to apply to the nearest consulate.
This is the video diary of a London-based family of 4 who visit Guadeloupe, French West Indies, on a journey of discovery. Its beauty, the hospitality of the people, and the fascinating combination of French culture and African roots completely captivates them. The journey begins in Pointe-à-Pitre, the capital, where we decided to rent an apartment to experience life amongst the locals, and as a good base from which to explore the wonderful tourist attractions. Pointe-à-Pitre comes for Pointe-à-Pitre, or Peter's Wharf, after a fisherman who settled there in the 17th century. The highlights of the town include the port, where several holiday cruise ships make a brief stop every day. It takes a little while to adjust to the Guadeloupean pace, but the relaxed lifestyle and laid-back atmosphere soon helped us unwind. was also very important to us to spend quality time with our many Guadeloupean friends who entertained us, introduced us to their local cuisine and culture, and showered us with invitations. Guadeloupean hospitality is absolutely legendary.
Si tu fais 6 mois en Angleterre, tu n'as même pas besoin de faire ça. Tu fais 6 mois, tu suis les cours d'anglais et tu perfectionnes en anglais. C'est pas difficile.
I've already seen my home and my parents and my sisters. So now I'm going to give you a present.
Oh.
From Guadeloupe, a couple with banana clothes.
Banana?
Yes, it's
beautiful.
With the sheet of banana. Is it a sheet?
Yeah.
A feuille?
Leaves.
The leaves.
Alright.
Banana leaves.
Banana leaves.
Banana dry leaves.
Alright.
Okay.
Oh.
And some coconut.
Oh, yes.
Awesome.
It's like a Barbie. You say that when I play with it. That could be Ken and that could be Barbie.
That's the one, you Ken and Barbie. See, that's beautiful.
Some of the food we were offered was pleasantly familiar to our African palates. Accras, hot donuts made of cod or vegetables, the fish called bouillon, a spicy fish stew, and of course plantains and yams. Everyone seemed to be an excellent cook, and there wasn't an E number or a microwave meal in sight. Luckily, we also had plenty of exercise to burn off all the calories. Once we had settled into our apartment and explored the local area, we decided to venture further afield to Marie-Galante, an island which can only be reached by ferry boat crossing from Pointe-à-Pitre or by plane. As you would expect from the Caribbean, the climate in Guadeloupe is wonderful. The temperature is pleasant throughout the year, between 23 degrees centigrade in winter and 32 degrees centigrade in summer. There are 2 seasons, a dry season between February and June and a rainy season from July to January. What you might not know is that there are also occasional hurricanes in September and October, so it's probably not the best time to visit. If you have a sensitive stomach, make sure you have the seasickness pills handy, especially for the children.
I've just been really sick. And Mummy, don't say that.
Marie-Galante is one of the most unspoilt parts of Guadeloupe. Although the climate here is rather dry, its rich green vegetation has made it the home of sugarcane and of course of the rum distilling that goes with it. No visit is complete without touring the main distilleries that dot the island to see how rum is made. There are ruins of the former windmills and sugar refineries scattered all over the landscape. We decided to explore the island on a private bus tour. The driver, a very amiable chap, was waiting at the port for any tourists who chanced to come off the ferry.
The main industries here are sugarcane, fishing, craftwork, and tourism is just starting to develop. On public holidays and weekends especially, there are more visitors coming here now. Marie-Galante is a very quiet, peaceful place. I'm not saying there is no crime at all, but everyone knows everyone else. It is so small.
It's very quiet, peaceful, there's not much crime.
I will show you various places, like Grandbo. We'll visit Habitation Murat. It's an old sugarcane plantation. There's nothing left now, only the ruins are still there. Then we'll turn back and visit the rum distillery. It's open and you can see where they process sugarcane to get sugar, rum, cane syrup, and molasses or treacle. Of course, you have the basic products, and then with further refinement, you get more products. I will explain everything as we go along. If I give you the overall picture, that will help you understand. Then I can explain more details as we go along and stop at various sites along the way. I'll show you a good restaurant where you can have lunch as well. You know, I'm completely at your disposal today.
The highlight of our visit to Marie-Galante was the Chateau Murat, the former property of the richest sugar refiner on the island back in the 1830s. Influenced by the French Revolution, on the 4th of February 1794, the Convention in Paris voted for the prohibition of slavery and sent Victor Hugo to Guadeloupe to ensure that the law was implemented. But in 1802, Napoleon Bonaparte reinstated slavery, and it wasn't until 1848 that the French Parliament voted for the abolition decree. Here at the Chateau Murat, slaves had toiled in the sugarcane fields, but this injustice was now finally over. No visit to Marie-Galante would be complete without experiencing some of the most beautiful beaches in the world to relax on after all the hectic sightseeing and rum tasting. All the clichés of blue seas, sunny blue skies are there, and they make you feel like you're in paradise. Even the so-called Devil's Hole we saw should be renamed Heaven's Gate, in my opinion. Back in Grande Terre, which along with Basse Terre is one of the two main islands of continental Guadeloupe, we paid a visit to the National Park, a natural park which is over 17 hectares and has more than 300 different kinds of trees, bushes and giant ferns. It's one of the most beautiful and best preserved tropical forests of the West Indies and has a wonderful, peaceful atmosphere that must be experienced. If you have ever wondered what it's like to see a volcano, you can visit La Soufrière. We chose to see the natural waterfalls, les chutes de Carbet, which can only be accessed through forest tracks deep into the forest. Just make sure you have your walking boots and a bottle of water for the trek. But with so many more amazing places to discover, we had to tear ourselves away from the tropical forest and press on, en route to the next adventure, a cruise in a glass-bottomed boat. The children particularly enjoyed the beautiful clear seas and the gorgeous marine life, especially when one of the boat crews suddenly appeared under the boat, surrounded by fishes.
Just swim like you swim in a swimming pool. You don't have to breathe with that. You just keep your head out of the water and swim. You know? You don't have to put your face in the water.
Only the youngest in our group was brave enough to take the plunge himself and swim with the fishes, and he was surprised at just how warm the sea was. After a while, he had to be persuaded to get back in the boat. It was a wonderful excursion, but it occurred to us as we enjoyed the boat trip that the commentary was exclusively in French, and the assumption was that all the passengers could understand. In fact, throughout our stay in Guadeloupe, we found that few, if any, of the service providers we met, although extremely courteous and welcoming, actually spoke good English. The fact that we spoke French was a major factor in our ability to benefit from the facilities. Back in London, I put this point to Christian Lepage, Director of the French Government Tourist Office UK.
Apart from what I might call mainland France. You've mentioned the fact that, for example, you have to fly via Paris at the moment. And also, I have to say that as a visitor to Guadeloupe, I did notice that English is not that widely spoken in the region, even where tourists are catered for, wonderfully in other ways. What comments would you have to make on that?
Well, I think the proficiency in a foreign language is something which I would say both our cultures, French and English, are not very good at learning other people's languages. So we are on the same level there. I would say that probably the younger people, and particularly people involved with tourism, a lot of North Americans, Canadian and US citizens go to these islands, and obviously they have to invest in training and make efforts so that English is more widely spoken. So I think this is one area where obviously there is a need for more improvement, but where already some progress is being made because people realize that without that it's really, I would say, hardly any point in going further.
I left Mr. Lepage's office in London reassured that promoting the exquisite island of Guadeloupe as an international tourism destination, while still preserving the unspoilt nature that is its charm, was high on the agenda. The warmth of its people, the relaxed lifestyle, and even the rhythm of the music all draw you in and make you a part of the heartbeat of Guada. In part 2, join us as we return to Guadeloupe for some extraordinary sights and sounds. Experience the thrilling finish of the Tour de Guadeloupe cycle race. Walk in the footsteps of the African slaves who were brought here, shackled and terrified, to live and work on the sugarcane plantations. And witness